Today is Sunday, May 26th, and the indeterminate plants are getting to a pretty good stage where we could talk a little bit about suckers and side shoots and what it means to pinch plants and why one should or shouldn't. So let's see how this goes. And I did some suckering yesterday, and I'll explain why that is, but if we just look at the first plant I have here. It's a Mexico midget that I have planted in a pot, and this is a good one to show because it is suckering or putting out side shoots like crazy. So in a tomato plant you've got the central stem, and then you've got the leaves that come off typically at about a 45-degree angle, or sometimes they eventually relax to a 90, like this one right here. Now what happens is, in the space between the main stem and the leaves, you have this additional growth coming out at a 45-degree angle. That is what is known as a sucker or a side shoot. These do not sap energy away from the plant or anything like that. And when you think about it, people who cage tomatoes don't really prune anything off. But if you grow tomatoes vertically and stake them, sometimes allowing too many of the suckers develop creates just a very complicated plant. Now the upside of keeping some of them is you get shading from the sun, especially in a really hot area. You can prevent sun scald, and it also, you can hedge your bet. So we have on this Mexico midget some flowers right here, flower cluster. Now, for whatever reason, the temperature is not appropriate when the flowers open and they don't pollinate and they fall off. If you pruned all of your suckers away below that, you'll have no fruit anywhere up to that point in the plant, and then it just remains to be seen if the ones above it will pollinate. So right now on this plant, I've actually, and I'll just say this, for Mexico midget we look for maximum production, and we really don't prune it much at all. I'll just essentially tie this to the main stake by pulling it up using some twine, and this 8-foot pole will essentially provide an anchor, and every 6 inches to 12 inches I'll just tie everything to it. So just for purposes of this, right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 side shoots, actually 5, and more will form. They're all there, all of in the space between every leaf branch and the main stem. A sucker has formed. And so if you wanted to remove one, and let's just say here's a small one, and it won't affect my yield if I pull this one off. So you just tug, let me get it this way, and snap. So there's your sucker or side shoot, which essentially would be another fruiting main stem. And if I wanted to, I could stick this in wet soil or a glass of water, keep it in the shade, and it would root within about a week, and then you'd have a new plant. So this is also a way to clone plants. I could have another whole new Mexico midget off this. It would grow just like the parent that I took the sucker off. So let's leave Mexico midget and come over to this golden queen that I've got growing here. Get a different angle on it. So I've done some pruning of this, and I've also decided to let some of the side shoots go. So if we look down inside this plant, I've got one sucker that I've let grow here, another major one growing here, and then, which often happens, well, there's a third one here. This is a substantial one. And then a lot of times with indeterminates, the main stem will split and you'll get 3 or 4 new main stems growing out of it, and you can decide how many of those you want to keep. But right now, the way I've got this plant pruned, it will have 1, 2, 3 side shoots plus the main stem. So 4 potential fruit-bearing elements of this plant. And already in here you can see I've got the shadows are kind of funny, I know, but they're open flowers, so this is about to set fruit already. And then there's another flower cluster forming at the top. Hope that explains pretty clearly what's going on with sideshoots and suckers. Maybe one last look at this Peak of Perfection plant here, which is an old variety from the early 1900s, 1924. Main stem is here. There's one sucker that I've let develop here, another one here, and I've pruned all of the rest off. So I'm letting this plant go to 3 fruiting stems. Actually, I lied, or I missed one, I should say. The stem actually split right there, and so I've now got 2 fruiting stems going forward. So this will have 4 fruiting stems, which will be a lot to keep up with for this size, for being in the middle of the driveway, and I may prune one off at some point. Email me or put a comment on this video post if you have any questions. And look at, we got a blue-tailed skink sneaking around right here. Oh, there he goes. I've been told that if you have skinks, it's good. That means you probably don't have snakes, because the snakes eat the skinks. Hope you all have a great holiday weekend, and enjoy this little video tutorial on pruning and suckering. Bye-bye all.